The Biden administration is being called out for human trafficking over the border crisis. And if you remember, I did the special feature episode, Border Deception, where I dug into the Biden administration's programs, mainly being run through the State Department, that are facilitating what we call the border crisis. This is not organic. This is a man-made, intentional border crisis where people are being financed. There's a whole program being run through the United Nations, the International Organization for Migration, facilitating the whole thing. They're doing it. And what's interesting now is the debate is shifting. And the debate's shifting in a way where the Biden administration and officials are being accused basically of manipulating loopholes within the system, and through those loopholes facilitating what does constitute human trafficking. Let me show you a story on this. This is Town Hall. It says Mayorkas, DHS, Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, smuggled 100,000 migrants into the U.S. through a hidden parole pathway. Actually, I think the number is like 600,000, but we'll get into that. It says this. President Joe Biden's Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, reportedly smuggled over 100,000 illegal migrants, illegal aliens technically, into the U.S. through a hidden parole pathway. From May to December, Mayorkas has been welcoming at least 20,000 migrants into the country every month. It says further in, the secret pathway delivers more than 240,000 illegal migrants into the U.S. per year under the disguise that they will be used as economically, despite a 1986 ban on the corporate hiring of immigrants. I think they mean illegal aliens, because you can hire people with green cards, and people coming here as immigrants are fine. They're conflating the nature of an immigrant with the nature of an illegal alien. There's no laws banning immigrants from working in businesses. I think Google would be out of business very quickly if that was true. But it says this is in addition to the 360,000 migrants per year that officials will bring in from Haiti, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua using the same hidden pathway. Combined, this would add 600,000 extra economic migrants per year to the country's economy. I'd say it's actually a lot worse than that. I think reports currently are estimating between 11 million and 33 million illegal aliens in the United States. Epoch Times has this story back on the migration issue, illegal alien issue. It says Biden administration releases over 1,300 criminal illegal immigrants in 1 month. It says President Joe Biden's administration has released more than 1,300, that's 1,300 criminal illegal aliens in a single month, according to a recently disclosed statistic. Immigration officials released 521 convicted criminal aliens and 795 with pending criminal charges in December of 2022, per data released by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Keep in mind, these are only the ones they've arrested, and only the ones who have been reoffending, or else they wouldn't even be in the system at all, because there has to be a legal process to even bring them into the system, to have ICE step in these days. And it says the number, and keep in mind, in sanctuary cities, they can't even call in ICE, and so we don't even have the data, for example, from like Texas or from New York or California. But it says the number of convicted criminal aliens and those with pending charges released was up by 58% from the month prior and 48% from October of 2022. Typically, I think immigration is not an issue. In my opinion, typically people come into a country, they tend to bring value. That kind of immigration is what made America great. When you read the Statue of Liberty's plaque, and bring me your poor and you're tired and you're downtrodden, they didn't come here and get on welfare. They didn't come here and live off the system. They came here and they built their own, they lived the American dream. They built they built businesses. They took care of their families. They did something, right? It was the American dream. This idea that you will be given freedom. You will be responsible for your success, and you will be responsible for your failure. And if you can build something, you are living the American dream. And nobody's going to stop you, but nobody's going to help you either. That is how the American system worked. The nature of America is based on this independence and freedom. And the American idea is founded around that idea. The problem you have with modern immigration, though, is the welfare system and, frankly, loopholes within the legal system, where you have these sanctuary cities that don't even prosecute people. The problem we have now is that you have what are economic migrants. They're not coming here because they want to create something. They're not coming here because they want to build something. They're coming here because they want the government to take care of them. They're coming here because they want free hotel rooms in New York City. It's a totally different form of immigration. That type of immigration is absolutely harmful to a society. That type of immigration is a dead weight on really the hardworking people, the people who do try to build their dreams and do things that are great. Modern, welfare immigration, I think, is utterly destructive to a civilization, and especially when the education system does not relay to them what the country stands for. What you then have instead is people who are taught to hate the host country. They're taught to hate the history of the nation they're being raised in. And that is something deeply, deeply destructive to a society. And I'll show you how that's happening, because they're starting to recognize it, right? The Washington Examiner says this: Washington, D.C., wants federal government to solve migrant crisis as it buckles under influx. It can't handle anymore. And this is Washington, D.C. Imagine these little border communities that don't have as much money as Washington, D.C. does. It says, since April last year, Republican governors have bused thousands of immigrants to Washington, D.C., and the city is still struggling to absorb the massive influx of non-citizens. Instead of moving on to other destinations, some of the immigrants are choosing to stay in the city, raising capacity concerns for the local government that illustrate the larger issues surrounding immigration policy in the United States. According to D.C. Council Chairman Phil Mandelson, the city has had to accommodate a large number of immigrants in a short period of time without any existing infrastructure to assist them. And in my opinion, the problem with it is that they feel they need to create infrastructure to assist them. They should not give them anything. They should, again, and that's the way the normal legal immigration system works. You need to prove that you can come here and not be a dead weight on society, that we don't take care of you like a bunch of babies. You can stand on your own 2 feet and pull your own weight. That you have to demonstrate you have a job to go to, that you can have a place to stay, that you're not going to need to be supported like a little kid. But they believe they are entitled to this type of assistance, and the government is asking for help to pay for that. The thing is, though, what New York City and D.C. are doing right now is they're trying to blame this not on Biden's open border policies. They're saying it's DeSantis's fault. It's the fault of Texas because they're taking these migrants and they're busing them into our cities. They're busing them around. If you watch my border deception documentary, which if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch, you'll know that NGOs financed through the United Nations IOM, International Organization for Migration, or operated through them, the money comes from the State Department, is actually what is busing these people all across the United States on a regular basis. And not just buses, but even flying them around. They're doing this at a large scale already. An operation being coordinated through the State Department, working hand in hand with the United Nations. What you have is a very small number. The thing they're focusing on is a very small number of buses basically being done as a political stunt by like DeSantis in Florida, sending some of these migrants to Washington, D.C. to bring it to public attention. They're blaming it on that, not on the 11 million or 33 million people illegally brought into the country through Democrat programs. They're manipulating the narrative to make it look like something else, and they're not calling for these people to be deported. When you see issues like this, the cities that are dealing with this are not saying that they need more. They're not saying that they should send them back to Mexico or wherever they come from. They're not saying that they should basically end these asylum policies. They're saying they need more money. They want federal government assistance to pay for this, meaning every taxpayer in America has to pay, the hotel fees of these illegal aliens who are coming here and getting mad because, one facility doesn't offer them, room service on demand at any hour of the day, that they don't want to have it where you have like 3 meal times and, you don't get a fancy hotel bed or something like that. That's the narrative, and that's the reality of it.